Welcome everybody to What Do You Bring to the Table? I'm your host Rajiv Satyal, and I'm sitting here with Pallavi Gunalan.
That felt good. It feels good every time.
It feels good, whatever. Do you get it wrong? Do people get it wrong a lot?
Yeah, all the time.
What do they say?
They say Pallavi.
Wow.
They say Pallavi. They say Pallavi. I've gotten Paula Dean before.
Oh, that's not racist.
No.
Well, actually, it isn't because she's white, so maybe it's. But they're quoting a racist white person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
If your name were Paula Dean Gunalan.
Yeah.
Gunalan.
Gunalan.
Yeah, not Gunalan.
Yeah.
I got it right the first time.
That's all they.
That's all the first time and done. That's good.
Cut.
So how long, you've been in LA twice, right? Like you came out here and then you went back. Just trace me, give me your story, origin story.
I was born in Texas. My dad did his PhD there at Texas Tech, and they moved around a bit in Texas, but my brother and I were born in Lubbock. And then I grew up in Utah. My parents are still there.
Okay.
And then I went to Caltech for undergrad in Pasadena, and then I lived in the area for a bit in Glendale for another year. And then I went and did my master's at Carnegie Mellon, and then in Pittsburgh, and then I moved to the Bay to do research as a research scientist in the biotech industry, and then I moved to LA for my PhD.
Wow, that is quite the varied background.
Yes.
What does Pallavi mean?
It means new leaf or doll.
Which one do you identify with more?
The new leaf, probably.
That's probably because you've done so many different things.
Yeah.
That you've turned over a new leaf.
Yeah.
What prompted you to leave, science and engineering and do stand-up?
I started stand-up when I started my PhD, and then it just kind of took off and took over my life, and my passion just shifted. I had been in labs since I was in 7th grade. I'd started my first internship in 7th grade. I sought it out on my own. So it was a really difficult decision for me. It felt like the biggest breakup of my life.
Sure.
But I just really loved that moment of being on stage, and I kind of had to admit that to myself. And I think working with my nonprofit kind of showed me that I could still be in science a bit and still contribute in that way, and science communication is still important. But I just wanted to tell pussy jokes on stage, you know?
Yeah. Who doesn't? Who doesn't want to do that?
For the good of humanity.
For the good of humanity. I know, that's good. What does your stand-up normally cover? What do you talk about?
I talk a lot from personal experience. People often say that there are moments where they feel uncomfortable during my set, which I like because it makes them it keeps something with them, and it makes them think about it for a few days.
What's an example of a joke like that?
I don't know if I want to say it here.
Okay.
I cover pretty dark topics.
Okay.
So I've covered abuse, and I've covered mental health issues, but I'm also I'm goofy and dark, so it's it kind of varies.
Who are the other comics who are like that in that space, do you feel like?
I actually realized that
Is it Tig Notaro, or is that
no,
she's not goofy?
She's not goofy. I realized that I'm actually more influenced by people like Bill Burr than I expected, because he had that thing of pushing people away and then bringing them back in. And I think sometimes I do that, but he's also he's very silly in his delivery.
Yeah.
But then he also discusses his anger issues, and I've had a lot of anger issues.
Do you do personally?
Yeah, I've had to have a lot of therapy to understand how to react to things properly in the moment, you know?
Oh yeah, so have I.
So yeah.
Yeah, I go to therapy for that exact same idea.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting, because I feel like it's more socially acceptable for men to be angry.
Yeah.
Than for women, of course. That's not some big insightful thing, but it's.
I get called an alpha a lot.
That's so. How does it manifest itself? Do you just yell, or?
I yell on stage, which is fun for me, but it's in a goofy way. But
in real life.
Real life, I used to get really upset. I think I used to immediately I would cry but be angry immediately, when I would get in a fight with a significant other or something, and I would hold on to things really intensely. I think because I have high expectations for how people should be.
Sure.
that happened a lot, you know.
Do you hold yourself to the same standard? Or to a high standard?
Yeah, I definitely have a internal monologue that's pretty self-critical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you also have an encouraging one, or is it mostly just? Because recently,
It's really just
you're like it's a one track.
really working on that.
You recently posted on Instagram about your anxiety and depression
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
Is that a fair way to say it? And your, I thought that was brave.
I don't know if it was.
Is that not what you're?
Well, everybody was saying that, but that's like, I don't know. I posted it for me. I had a moment because I didn't think many people would see it, and then a lot of people did. I mean, I expected like some of my followers to see it, but I didn't expect to get the reaction that I did. Like
Sure.
a lot of people like messaged me that it helped them. Like seeing the video of me like take my first pill helped them, get over that and that hesitation. But I just posted it because I have like serious things sometimes that I like want to post on my social media, kind of like a scrapbook or like to capture that narrative for myself. And so I like told the story of my struggle and taking that step, which has been really hard for me to think about doing. But I wasn't trying to be brave or anything. I was just like, this is a thing that's happening. Let me post it.
I'll just be self-indulgent.
Yeah, it's for me.
It's for me.
It's
like Breaking Bad.
Get off my Instagram. It's for me, okay?
I'm performing for myself. I know, that's what's up. What advice works for white comics that doesn't work for us?
I had, for example,
males or
we were talking about
cisgendered or
Twitter, right? And I had white friends who went viral one time and got 10,000 followers off of it. I went viral. They were like, just go viral. And I was like, okay. And I did it like 3 times and I got 400 followers and called Aziz. And that's different for me than it is for them.
Right.
So it's like every step, or like how you're perceived as a comedian on stage. Someone told me.
Well, no, go back to the Twitter thing. Like, why is that? Why did they get 10,000? Because Abish Matthew, who has a stand-up, has a talk show over in India called Son of Abish. I love this name of this. This is a great name. And because I had this I Am Indian video and it went really viral, 50, 60, maybe 100 million views, some crazy thing. It was like insanely viral. And I don't know why I'm not bigger, like after a video that's that big. Not that I have any love for Prime Minister Modi, for whom I opened before I knew his politics.
Oh my God.
In San Francisco, didn't know really what he was all about.
Yeah.
But it was a gig, right? 17,000 people, let's do it. I'll be in the LA Times, this will be great. And I remember doing this gig, feeling like, okay, they actually used my video when he spoke around the world to open for him. Like it was that kind of a thing, which is like not a great thing because it's just about being Indian and your identity. But now, that was in 2014, after he got elected and everything. Now it just reads as a little bit more jingoistic in how art can change over time. Yes, I called it art. And so it's that idea of going, okay, how does that modify? How does that change? But Abish then goes, if you make 1 viral video, the video goes viral.
Yeah.
If you make 2, you go viral.
Yeah.
And I had never heard that before.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're saying white comics can go viral off of 1 tweet and get 10,000 followers? Is that true?
That's happened to my friends.
I guess so. I'm not saying it's not true.
Or like getting your my video posted on the Laugh Factory's Instagram or what. People are just more racist. People are more racist, and if you're like
the people posting or the people viewing or both?
People viewing.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like my friends in comedy who are white, I can't take their advice. They have no understanding of how I traverse the world. People often only see like their path and their interactions with the world. So obviously like they're kind of blind to how the rest of us like walk through and have to deal with different things. Hopefully, that thing of like you become more conservative as you get older.
They say that.
I feel like the opposite has happened to me and my family. Like we are becoming more like empathetic and like understanding. My parents, my brother, me over time, and we all started at different places. But yeah, I think I think back 10 years and I was like, oh I was a misogynist. Like I did all this racist stuff. I was a misogynist. I bought into this system. I didn't speak up. And it's like over time you like get better at knowing who you are and like what you care about, I think.
I mean, hopefully, yeah. I think one thing, this may happen with people on other parts of the gender spectrum, but one thing I noticed with especially old Indian men, so my dad, my wife's dad, etc.
They walk like this?
They do this move.
They walk like this and they look around.
They do this.
All
thing.
the old Indian men in my family.
They all do. I started to do it.
That's how you tell what time it is. The sun.
Yeah, how far
with the
they bend
shadow.
over.
Yeah.
That's true. They're just sort of like, like this. That's good. I hope you do that as a bit. That's funny. They either soften or they harden. Like they become, because this is a question I had for this woman had taken me to comedy shows, Kamel and Patton and all these great comics, and a conversation I had with her, I said, why don't comedians get funnier? Like they get funnier to a point, but then their later stuff isn't very funny, in my opinion. Not in my opinion, just it isn't their best work. Their best work is done, and then they keep making specials, and you're like, what happened? And she said that, and I thought this was so insightful, she goes, maybe it's because, and she's spitballing, but this is great, she goes, I think because anger is funny and bitterness isn't. Like comedians they just get so sour and they get so bitter that they just like, they ripen, and then it's just like they become hard.
Interesting.
And I'm like, yeah, it's not funny when someone's bitter.
I
Bitterness
thought it's
isn't
because
funny.
it takes so long to get your first special, and then if that breaks
what they say.
you just have to keep working.
But then they're stuck in the
providing
third usually is
content.
better.
Well, maybe it's because they've figured out like how to do a special, but then the material, like you spend so much time accumulating material in the first part of your life,
Right.
just trying to get a break.
Right.
Then you get that break, and then maybe the second or third, like you're better at presenting on that level, and then your material, like you have to start over, but people would still demand content of you.
Oh, no, that's good.
Capitalist system.
The capital. Yeah, if we lived in a socialist system, we'd have better comedy.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so.
Well, I don't know. There's elements
It'd be
of
like
both.
less pressure to like put out content, and people would make it that they care about more. I think.
I think Bill Maher, such as he is, did talk about how it's a gin and tonic. Like if you just drink a gin straight, it's terrible, or a tonic straight, it's not very good either. But if you mix them, so that's what I think with capitalism. That's what he said. Capitalism and socialism is the right blend. Because I think the fundamental idea of like work hard and you get ahead is fine, but that's not what we have.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that in a capitalist system. You can work hard if you want to in a socialist system on the things that you care about. I am currently co-executive director of a nonprofit making open source medical devices, and it's all volunteer, and it's the best team I've ever worked with. The most like competent, caring, amazing team, and we all do it in our free time.
And you'd all do it for free.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you make?
Ventilators. We started like last March. Ventilators and powered air purifying respirators.
I mean, who doesn't do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Spare time. That's great, dude. No, that's awesome. Where
Yeah.
can people learn about it?
Respira Works. RESPIRA Works. Just Google
Well,
that.
hey, just check it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. It just because she looked at the camera doesn't mean she was mad at me that time.
No, I wasn't. I was really happy with the plug. I don't know. I think like,
If you're familiar with the hopeometer, the hope-o-meter,
No.
like how hopeful you are on a scale from 0 to 100.
I feel like I'm like on a daily, I hate people, but I'm too idealistic to actually, I got that nougaty center, the soft.
So the soft center.
Yeah, because I don't think I would be doing any of the things that I would be doing or care about if I if I didn't have hope or, standards for like how I think we should live.
Yeah.
I think most scientists and engineers are idealists. Like we put a lot of work and time and effort in the hopes that something will work out and that we'll be able to like make it a positive impact on a good number of people. And I still feel that way. But I don't know, it's kind of that thing of like what else can we do? So it's like I have a lot of friends who like
that's
work.
what I'm hearing a lot these days.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends who like work with unhoused people, and it's like that water bottle or that sandwich may feel insignificant, and they're like larger, the whole system is at work, and there are things that push back our progress so easily, and it feels overwhelming, but it's like that sandwich makes a difference to one person that day, and that's all that matters, and you do it and you move on,
So giving money to people on the streets is a good idea.
Yeah.
I do it all the time, but I just had this argument with somebody who was like, you should give it to charity, and I'm like, no.
No.
Should you also give it to charity, or should you
Well,
just
what
give
do you
it to
mean
people
by
on the street?
charity?
Yeah, donating to a fundraiser.
Well, it depends on like, I'm big into like mutual aid stuff, but even with like nonprofits, it's like sometimes hard to see where that money goes.
Where does it go?
I don't know. Like it depends on the nonprofit. I think it's like a lot easier. It's also like, I think people have a weird like I think everything is about control and power. And so when people are like, oh, I want to give it to an organization, they feel safer giving it to people who have like that are part of a larger system.
It's people like them.
Yeah, and that's what otherizes all the unhoused people. And it's like, what is so disturbing to you about handing money over to people who can control their own lives?
I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's like, they'll say things like, oh, like, what about the drugs and the alcohol? And it's like, bitch, you do coke all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are they supposed to do? They're unhoused.
Yeah, it's like, it's the idea of like, if you're poor, you're not allowed a shred of like happiness or relief too. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to pay their mortgage with it? They don't have a house.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that means they're necessarily going to drink it or put it in their
Yeah.
arm,
But I'm saying like against that argument.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of just giving money.
I think everything comes down to control and power. I think a lot of like legislation, a lot of like how we act economically and what little we care about with certain groups of people. It's all about like being able to control them and to maintain power.
What's the difference between control and power?
I think they're very closely tied. I think, I think they're people in power are able to have more control over other people.
Means of production.
I even think like even on like the other side of it with like the whole like representation thing in Hollywood, it's like you'll have these people who are like, yeah, we care about representation, we care about that stuff. So they'll put people of color in front of the camera, and then all of the execs are white, and you're like, okay, make an exec not white, and that's when they don't want to give up the power. They're like, well, and that happens like all the way up.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes you just have to give it up, like, or you know, like they think that it's
you have to give up your seat at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's or make room at the table.
Building new table.
Yeah.
All that jazz. Yeah. All that stuff. Pallavi, what are your current projects? What are you up to these days?
Okay, I write for Love It or Leave It. That's my main source of income.
To those folks who don't know what Love It or Leave It is, although most people do.
It's a podcast with Crooked Media. They have Pod Save America, and one of the three hosts of it, John Lovett, has his own podcast. It's a comedy and politics podcast, and I write for that. And that's super fun. It's a great team. And then I'm also working on a series that I'm writing with a production company.
Nice.
So hopefully hoping to pitch that at
like
some
a
point.
fiction scripted series.
Yeah. And then I'm also I have the nonprofit that I'm working on, and then I also run a volunteer tutoring organization for free tutoring sessions for Black students, which I'm very behind on matching students right now. But at our height, we had like 60 students and 60 teachers.
Okay.
Just like giving Zoom lessons. And then I'm just doing like stand-up and auditioning and acting and stuff.
How long do you think it takes to get good at stand-up?
I think it's dependent on the person.
Okay, so just answer the question then.
I don't know. Some people will never get good at stand-up.
Do you think you're good at it?
I think I'm in the right field.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Okay. Yeah. You're in the right field.
Yeah.
And I mean, what is it that you think
If I was a man, I would have said, yeah, I'm great at it.
Well,
I feel like I have friends who, like, we're all on the same path, and they're like, yeah, I'm great at stand-up.
Really? But
I couldn't do it. Yeah.
But are they?
They're good, yeah.
Oh, and they know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I couldn't say it. How is that?
No, I think it's the other way.
You think it's better for me to say it?
Yeah, I mean, to be like, I'm not sure versus like, I'm great. Unless, I mean, if they are great, then I guess that's good. Then maybe they're just self-aware.
Yeah.
If they're really good at it. If you ask me if I'm good at ping pong, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
You're really good?
I mean, I'm good. I'm not like, I can't.
How long have you been playing ping pong?
I mean, I just got this table a few months ago, and people are like, oh, do you play all the time? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't.
Why are you so mad at the brass?
Because people get so, they're like, oh, what are you so good because you have a ping pong table? I'm like, no, I'm just good at it. Do you feel like you've seen some shit?
I know I've seen some shit, but not like.
Sorry, again.
Not a whole lot. Like, I don't know, shit within my socioeconomic demographic.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Like all things considered, I guess. But do you feel sheltered though, or do you feel like fairly exposed to the world?
I'm probably still sheltered in a lot of ways. I feel like more exposed than people who grew up the way I did.
Yeah. I mean, like you were saying, you
because
were in
of comedy.
a bubble.
Oh.
You were in a bubble for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you feel like stand-up it helps break that bubble to an extent?
Yeah. Somebody said like there's that quote, artists are the most dangerous group of people because they interact with every class.
Yeah.
Oops.
Why does that make us dangerous?
Huh?
Why does that make us dangerous?
Because you're able to see how like the real evils of the world, I guess, because you see how every class of people is treated or treats each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So that's a thing. That's a philosophy or a quote.
I've just seen that quote. Like it's like somebody posted it on Instagram, and I was like, that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. I mean, dangerous is probably why that quote travels. Because it's a sexy way of putting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel like when people say, oh, you're in a bubble, I go, what bubble exactly are you talking about? Because I perform for so many different types of people around the country and around the world.
Yeah, but I feel like performing versus like working with and interacting is different.
It is, but then who are these people who don't live in a bubble?
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I guess everybody does to an extent.
Yeah.
But it depends. Like if you go out with those folks afterwards and if you listen to them, of course it's not going to be the same thing as working on a factory line with them. But it's going to be...
Do you want to serve? I keep serving.
Oh, thanks. No, that's okay. That's totally fine. So you're so inclusive, Pallavi.
I know.
You walk the talk. I'm telling you. Is there a philosophy or a quote with which you strongly disagree? Like when people quote something and you're like, dude, that's bullshit.
I don't know. I just feel like anything that has like boxes around it, like people like to put things in categories.
9 types of intelligence.
9 types of intelligence, love languages, which is not scientific. Like
what's love language? I mean, I've heard that. But
it's like, what's your love language? Do you like acts of service or words of affirmation? Like that, like there are those things that people do like.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's ever been proven that like catering to them in a relationship actually makes the relationship better.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But people are like, I have to tell my person that I like words of affirmation or whatever. And it's like, okay, if you communicate and you tell them what you like, that'll probably make your relationship better, but it doesn't, like, just because you have a certain one or another.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think like every aspect of entertainment needs to be broached in a way where we don't have to explain shit.
Sure.
So like what I really liked about Goat Face and Never Have I Ever is that things weren't like fully explained.
Never Have I Ever, and what was the other one?
And Goat Face comedy.
Oh yeah,
like,
right.
Hassan and
Fahim
Asif
and
and Aristotle. So and also Hassan did this with Patriot Act 2. It's like he didn't sit there and explain like every word, every phrase. He didn't do it for the white gaze.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just did it for
G-A-Z-E.
interpreted it
okay.
2 ways.
Okay.
But they're still part of the other. But he didn't do it for white people. He didn't sit there and over-explain it. And I feel like that happened. Like there's only a few parts of entertainment, those few that I can point to that do that, where they don't like over-explain everything. So like the cast or whatever might be Desi or South Asian or whatever, but there's still like people behind the camera that are like, well, maybe you should explain what this means and like go through this trauma. And it's like, I don't want to have to do that. You know?
They'll operate at a higher level, kind of really go deeper than just being able to give a bunch of definitions of stuff. Would you rather eat poop that tastes like ice cream or ice cream that tastes like poop?
That question. I'm gonna eat ice cream that tastes like poop. I'm not gonna eat poop. Like, wait, do you know how many like bacterial things could go wrong if I ate? I'm not getting a poop transplant.
There you go. I'm glad. See, but not everybody's given that answer, which I find very interesting. Like
those people.
But you would taste something that like
those
tastes
people
like poop.
spread COVID for sure. Like,
yeah.
those people were out there coughing in these streets.
Has anybody ever thrown something away of yours that you're still kind of pissed off about? Like, Mom, you cleaned that out and threw it out?
I'm sure that's happened and I've like been pissed off, but most of the time I just lose and get mad at myself.
Oh, are you pretty forgetful?
I used to be, and then now I have like these systems where I'm like, all right, keep this here and that there, and then I'll remember to take it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Like
you know that Adam Sandler like keys, wallet, phone?
Wallet,
yeah,
keys.
phone, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing that.
That's a helpful bit that he did.
Yeah. He doesn't know how many people he saved.
Yeah, I think quite a few. Who's your Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedy?
My Mount Rushmore, what does that mean?
The 4 people that you think are the greatest.
That's hard for me to say.
Or just a bunch of people that you think are good. It doesn't have to be.
I would rather, like, the people that I see, like, I'm not gonna name, like, the ones that everybody maybe knows.
Okay.
Except, like, Maria Bamford is one that I really like, but it's also because I know her as a person.
Oh, okay.
And she's, like, so uniquely funny. Her voice is so unique. And she is able to, like, weave in, like, mental health. Like, nobody can steal her jokes, first of all. There's no way you can steal Maria Bamford jokes.
Yeah, so Maria.
And then she's able to, like, weave in mental health issues in, like, a really funny and goofy way, like a lighthearted way that I haven't seen before. And then she's also just incredibly kind. She's, like, one of the kindest people I've ever met in comedy. Oh, yeah, she's a really good person. And then one that I like right now, he's gonna have a Netflix special, is Brian Simpson is really funny.
Okay.
I think he's great.
Yeah.
I love Punky Johnson. There's so many, like, good peers that we have.
Yeah.
Or that are, like, well, not that they're my peers because they're doing way better than me, but, like, you know, like people who, like,
Well, like,
friends.
not just like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, friends.
Mm-hmm. So people that you know in your social life.
Yeah.
What is the funniest movie you've seen, or a funny movie you've seen that you can put on and make
Have you seen MacGruber?
You know who told me to see that? Was Matt Walsh, and I've still never
Wait,
seen
which
it.
Matt Walsh?
Matt Walsh, the UCB Matt Walsh.
Oh, okay.
The actor.
MacGruber is so funny. I have, like, analyzed it on a podcast. It's like, it is so funny. There are, like, parts of it that I'm like, is this homophobic? But other than that part, it was just so good.
Wow.
It's so funny.
You're only the second person who said that to me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard other people talk about it, but as far as, like, you need to see this, because I interviewed him a long time ago on my podcast, and that's what he said. He goes, you should see MacGruber.
Yeah, it's great.
Really, really interesting. Bam! Bam! That's it. We should have ended on that. Everybody, this is Pallavi Gunalan, who hails from Tamil Nadu. She doesn't hail from Tamil Nadu. She hails from Lubbock, Texas, which is a little behind Tamil Nadu in its development. Hey now!
Oh!
Hey now! Everybody, where can they find you, Pallavi?
Pallavi Gunalan, PALLAVIGUNALAN, on Instagram and Twitter and everywhere.
Everywhere.
TikTok.
I like that. Gulan. It's had that kind of like, it had that sort of like this shit is bananas kind of thing. So give it up for shit is bananas, everybody, for Pallavi. She's been an incredible guest, very open, very honest, very real, which we expected from you, and you delivered.
Thank you for having me.
On What Do You Bring to the Table? I've been your host, Rajiv, and I still am.